And welcome back to Who Would Win, the week of Who Would Win. And it's technically, the week's already ended. We're now in July. But, I go a little farther. I go one step beyond. This comes to us from Cameron Colfus, who asked the question, who would win a fight? Mutt Guy, the handsome blue beast of the Hidden Leaf, or Monkey D. Garp, the grandfather of Luffy, and I believe he's an admiral, if I'm not mistaken, in the New World Army. Navy, Extreme Marine Vice Admiral. Sorry, he's a Vice Admiral. He's the father of Monkey D. Dragon and the paternal grandfather of Monkey D. Luffy. So both these guys just use physicality in their fighting styles, so it makes sense why they could get paired together. As far as I can tell, Garp does not have a devil fruit of his own, nor does he really need it. But my guy, we know at this point, he was ranked as one of the strongest Jonin of his time in the village. Taijutsu master, probably the greatest taijutsu master in the Leaf. End all be all, that's all she said. And in really the world of Naruto. Capable of knowing pretty much every style, but he stuck to the strong fist as that's what he was capable of doing. He was able to unlock the 8 gates as well as use nunchucks in combat. Upon the activation of the 6th gate, he basically activated the Morning Peacock, which essentially lit the air up, and he was able to fire fireballs at individuals. With the activation of the 7th gate, he activated the Afternoon Tiger, which was basically a giant tiger of sweat that was able to bypass chakra absorption and deal a severe amount of damage. And then there was the Midnight Elephant and Midnight Dragon with the 8th gate, which then your blood is burning. At that point, he was able to move at speed so fast he was warping space itself. I've heard people, particularly some of the Death Battle reviewers I like to watch, like Nemesis Blood Scythe and Biffweed. I like both those guys. Kind of say that statement doesn't mean anything. It actually kind of does to some degree. I get what they're saying, but they don't, because the statement doesn't mean anything because Death Battle doesn't really go into it beyond saying that he was bending space. But it does kind of matter beyond that due to the fact that if you really think about the context of bending space, the space around you, if the space around you warps, no one can touch you, essentially. It just warps, and you could either break, shred, or just never be touched. The concept of warping space is actually very powerful if you actually explain it properly. But yeah, he was able to warp space, and for someone with god levels of regeneration to actually say, if you had gone a little farther, you may have actually been able to kill me. And that was Six Paths Madara, who was pretty much the strongest individual in Naruto at that point, and who had god levels of regeneration and destructive power up the yin yang. But unfortunately, the 8th gate runs that little risk of killing you. So there is that little snippet of a little bit of a problem. Garp, though, is considered a living legend and one of the strongest Marines of all time. I'm reading this verbatim because I'm not a big One Piece reader, so I have to get the facts. He is one of the very few people capable of fighting the Pirate King. Let me rephrase that. He was in his heyday. He was famous for cornering Goldie Roger many times. He was one of the few people capable of fighting him. In fact, Roger stated that he and Garp had almost killed each other from many times throughout their battles. Due to his incredible power and popularity, he was offered the rank of admiral several times throughout his life, but refusing the promotion every time. As a testament to his strength, together with Roger, he fought and defeated the Rocks Pirates, one of the strongest pirates crew ever in history. He is, even at the right age of 76, he is shown to be easily able to strike down Marco the Phoenix, Whitebeard's right hand, which is something that both Kizaru, who is the one who wields the Pika Pika no Mi, or the light fruit, basically turning his body into light, and Akano? I don't know who that one is. Is that the magma user or the ice user? I don't know. It seems to be unable to do. In fact, during the war after Ace, Akano, who was Akano? Possibly would have possibly been killed by the furious Garp had Segu not restrained him. What was that? Akano was the magma user. That's who Akano was, and he could bitch smack him around. His physical abilities, at his best, he had monstrous punching power at his disposal with the Garp the Fist. Testing the immense power of his punches, he claimed to have crushed 8 He claimed to have crushed 8 mountains during his training to face Qinzhao. This is proven when he's able to dent Qinzhao's drill head, which is powerful enough to split an entire continent in two with relative ease. Even in his old age, he still remains powerful, being able to launch iron cannonballs like baseballs at higher velocities than if they were fired by real cannons, breaking brick walls, cannon support. In addition to his immense strength, he has a tremendous level of durability and tolerance to pain, as seen when he was slashed by Captain Morgan's axe at hand, only to recover seconds later with no obvious pain. He is, and apparently oblivious to the fact that he was struck at all. In fact, when informed by one of the Marines that he was nearly killed, he mistook this for one of the men being killed. It was only when he saw what the wound did that he realized what had happened, as he fell asleep before being attacked. He was able to get back on his feet afterwards, allowing himself to be punched by Luffy's Greer 2 at point-blank range, without losing consciousness and still being able to fight the Blackbeard pirates along with that. He's extremely fast and agile, as he managed to bypass all the Straw Hats in order to get to a sleeping Luffy. He's also fast enough to grab Kuzan, a former Marine Admiral, by the face and slam him into the ground before he managed to defend himself. He is one of the few people in the One Piece world, I snapped my fingers to remind myself, One Piece world capable of using all 3 Hakis. Conqueror's Haki possesses immense mastery over it. The rarest form of Haki for those who hold the qualities of King. Most notably, he is among the small handful of users who are capable of using the advanced applications of infusing his armament Haki into parts of his body, Conqueror's Haki, into parts of his body and objects, as signified by the thin streams of black lightning emanating from his fists. He can also use his Conqueror's Haki defensively, protecting himself from the deep freezing effects of Kuzan's ice ball before breaking out of it with ease. He has 2 attacks with his Conqueror's Haki. Galaxy Impact, he literally meaning fist collision. Infusing it with with both his armament and his Conqueror's Haki, delivers a massively powerful punch with shockwaves that encompass the entire radius. This was first seen against the Blackbeard pirates. There's also Blue Hole. After hardening his hand with armament Haki and infusing it with his Conqueror's Haki, Garp grabs an opponent by the face and slams them down, creating a massive deep hole in the ground as they fall. This was the first scene when he used it on Kuzan. A blue hole is a large marine cavern sinkhole. The normal applications of Conqueror's Haki is essentially kind of make people just drop unconscious. You're basically imparting your will onto something else or someone else. This is an advanced form of it I was not even aware of. Armament Haki is that Haki you see where, if you're not familiar with One Piece, when you ever see their limbs or an item go like pitch black, that's what that is. It's basically hardening your body, hardening something for greater defense and offensive purposes. He has one technique with this, a gag technique, which is simply a powerful punch to struck at Luffy's head. Now, the thing about Armament Haki is it can bypass low GL users, aka elemental double fruit users, and bypass their defenses, so they can still be hurt. There's Conquerors, Armament, and Observation Haki. That's what it is. Basically, this is the kind of Ultra Instinct, sense your surroundings, Sage Mode, whatever you want to compare it to, Haki. He could sense that Kuzan was present and was going to freeze a character. I'm not going to try to pronounce all these names. When Kobe awoke in, he recommended that they ask Garp how to master it. Basically, Garp is very skilled in observation. His weapons generally are cannonballs, which he throws with his bare hands. He also wields a giant iron ball mounted on chain, which dwarfs the size of his own marine battleship. I'm sorry, let me read that again. This cannonball soars much faster than when it's fired and it can't due to Garp's immense physical strength. He wields a giant ball bigger than his own marine battleship? Well, shit. That's pretty impressive. 2 main techniques he has. He throws cannonballs to the enemy ship. Due to his superhuman strength, it's better than a cannon. He also has a technique where he throws 1,000 cannonballs at the enemy ship. The cannonballs are supplied by conveyor belt on each side. And that's pretty much it. So let's get a few things out of the way right now. In terms of physical strength, there's like nothing Guy has on Garp in terms of physical strength. Guy cannot do those kinds of levels of physical strength, at least not without the aid of the gates, and even then that'd be debatable. But lifting strength is not the same as striking strength. Speed's a tough one. We know there are fast characters in One Piece. Absolutely they are. I don't know if I agree. I still don't know if I agreed with the Sanji Rock Lee fight in all honesty, but take that out of the way. Another reason I'm not sure if I agree with that is just because Guy at this point now, Lee surpassed Guy, so he's technically faster than Guy. But Guy is still immensely fast, especially once you get into the later gates. He's moving probably at not near light speeds, but he's not faster than Naruto, who definitely was moving at light speeds, was the thing. So he's probably sub-light speeds. And the reason I think One Piece has a lot of those speed feats under their belt is because of the goddamn Pika Pika no Mi light fruit. So, yeah, like from a physicality standpoint, I think Garp has a lot of the edge here. And then you have to factor in the hockey as well. Armament hockey could easily strengthen his defense, so any hit he does take is weakened. I don't think his Conqueror's hockey is going to affect Guy, but it can affect him in terms of his advanced application. And then observation, he has observation hockey, so he's going to be able to feel Guy coming in. But on a sheer power output, I think Guy has the edge there. I think Guy has the edge in power output, especially when you get into the gates. Striking strength, when you get into the gates, he's literally igniting air with his chakra and his strength. And then if you go you go into the whole concept of bending space itself with the final gate. And he's definitely the better just overall hand-to-hand fighter. So yeah, but Garp's got a lot more battle experience. So who wins this fight? That's kind of a tough call. Garp generally has the physical edge, particularly in strength, and durability is pretty impressive. I think even if he is faster than Guy, it's probably not by a lot, because I don't think he's not even close to the fastest character in the series. So maybe this just goes down to Guy is confused, thinks the military is the Marines are the enemies, which they kind of are, and is aiding the Straw Hat Pirates. Garp and him go into a duke it out in a fight. Guys arrested. Impressive indeed. Dynamic entry! And then he just grabs it. I'm sorry, what was that? And just, and then Guy comes in, flips, kicks him in the head. Okay, all right, you might be able to, you're not that bad. Here, catch, and just starts launching cannonballs, which Guy has to now block them. Does his best, but eventually goes in, opening the gates, goes all the way into the sixth gate. Starts, doing Morning Peacock. Now he's counteracting the cannonballs, firing literal fireballs at Garp, who's now brings out his giant ball to kind of throw them away. Guy can't really do anything with that, so he does Afternoon Tiger. The Afternoon Tiger clashes with the cannonball. It's too close. Guy then comes in and smashes the cannonball. Garp comes in, smashes into Guy. Guy goes 8th gate, goes all out against Garp, who now is seeing him as a true threat. He's not able to, he's able to sense Guy coming, but the question is, can he react? Even if he doesn't react, even if he's unable to, or even if he is able to react, because of the warping of space, it's like, it's kind of like with the Sage mode, where Naruto didn't hit the Prepath, but he broke his neck. Here, he's not going to break Garp's neck, but just, Garp kind of feels that, he goes flying, Guy comes in, capitalizes that, and gets clean hits on him, because he was unable to sense out the ability to warp space itself around him. And as tough as Garp is, spatial warping is not something he could survive, I think. Unfortunately, this would result, obviously, in the death of Guy as well. But if we're talking about who's going to get the ultimate win at the end before either of them die, Guy hits him in the gut, then maybe just, die, Midnight Tiger, or what it was. Well, Midnight Elephant, and then there was one that was the Night Guy! And then just, boom, big clash. And I think it's Garp dead on the ground, just because of, again, the spatial warping and the level of power and speed, everything that's being hit with him with that. But Guy only survives long enough to be declared the winner, and then he drops dead. So I think Guy barely takes it, and I mean barely, but I think he takes it. Granted, it results in his death. So yeah, I think he would beat Garp, but at the cost of his life. So that's my thought, though. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.